This is Joshua here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Gareth A Davies here over Zoom on this fine Tuesday morning. Gareth, really good to speak to you. It feels like it's been a very long time since we've last sat here on Zoom. How is everything, first of all?
Well, we had lunch a week ago
Exactly.
in
We had lunch,
London.
but these usual early in the week morning catch-ups over Zoom, it's been a long time.
You've been failing your driving test.
Right,
You've
there's no need
been
for that.
it's facts. I'm not a harsh critic. That's a fact. Look at you. Don't 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 blush with embarrassment. I told you before you didn't put enough time in. You got your theory, you passed that, and then you overthought your driving test. You drove the wrong way down a one-way street. You did a 9-point turn. The instructor wanted to get out of the car because he was scared for his life. You beeped passers-by. You wolf whistled out of the window. I heard all kinds of reports. I heard that you'd failed it within a minute. Now,
See
what
that
went wrong, really? What went wrong?
you are accurate with the first minute part. You are accurate with that. But that was
Oh,
the only mistake I made, and the where I went wrong, I encountered the exact same scenario at the next set of traffic lights and did it perfectly. So yeah.
you didn't run a red light on your driving test, did
No,
you?
of course not, Gareth. I'm not that bad at driving. Anyway, let's
What
get
happened? What happened at the traffic lights?
so I was meant to give way to a car coming towards me, and but I got told go right but stay in the right lane. So I did that, but I was meant to give way, and I didn't give way. So I failed because I mean I made the car use their brakes a little bit too harshly. So yeah.
So you got the wrong judging decision on the night, basically, to
Yeah.
bring the boxing analogy around.
Yeah, lost on a split decision, I reckon. But
And have you gone into your shell, or is a loss a learn, so to speak?
I think I'm learning. I think I'm taking it on as a lesson. We go again. Yeah, hopefully I can hopefully sit on one of these Zooms in the near future and say that I have got a license.
Pressure makes diamonds and all of those kind of things. You know that you're going to be a great driver. You're going to be a world champion driver one day, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely, Gareth. Right, let's get into the boxing talk. That's why we are here today. Not to continuously remind me of the fact that I failed my driving test.
You know I love getting stuck into you because all I'm doing is hardening you up for the big time
Absolutely.
when you've got to drive 300 miles to a press conference.
Yes, absolutely. Right, let's dive into all the big talk. I'm sure you were over in Turkey last week, like many other people were. And the leaving headline now that everyone's back is Tyson Fury himself. He's announced he's coming back. He's announced a date with Oleksandr Usyk for the trilogy, April 18th in 2026. I think we probably never had this much notice for a fight. Um, what are your overall thoughts on all the different headlines coming out about Tyson Fury at the moment?
I think it's bluster, a lot of it. I know it's a possibility that he could fight Oleksandr Usyk for a third time, but there's a few fights to be made before we get there, I think. My reading of it is possible, but it's probably a late next year fight if it does happen. Um, Look, you follow the money. If you forgive my expression, I don't actually mean the money, but follow the route they're both taking. Fury needs a tune-up fight, which could come late this year, but it'll probably be next year. He needs, or late this year, I'd say, maybe. Anthony Joshua is the logical fight next, and then Oleksandr Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk, if he wins against Daniel Dubois, fights a Joseph Parker or an Ajit Kabayel. If he loses to Daniel Dubois, he fights a trilogy fight. And that leads, if Fury wins his tune-up, if Fury beats Anthony Joshua, leads to Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury, the almighty trilogy fight after two very good fights. Second one was close, was not as close as the first fight that they had. An almighty trilogy fight to end the era. That's how I see it. And ideally, even though people will say it's a risk, the tune-up fight for Tyson Fury is the likes of, say, a Kubrat Pulev, just to keep him treading water. And for Anthony Joshua, it's probably Deontay Wilder. Although some people will say, is there too much risk involved there for Anthony Joshua? But that's the way I see the roadmap. If if you turn right and allow the right of way to the cars coming beside you.
Fair enough. Sly little dig there, I suppose.
Nothing
Speak.
sly about it. It's very obvious.
Nice one. Cheers, Gareth. Um, but no, sticking on obviously Tyson Fury. Do you believe it would just make more sense if if Tyson just heads into the AJ fight? Obviously, at the moment, we're seeing little to no interest from Tyson Fury when talking about it, but they're getting older. AJ's at the back end of his career. Fury obviously now was retired, now not retired, obviously, but again, getting older. We're gonna be hitting that Best Buy date soon, kind of like similar to Amir Khan and Kell Brook. Do you feel it just makes more sense for Fury and AJ to go right? Let's get it on. Let's have a fight, and then the winner can then look at that Oleksandr because they both had two fights with Usyk. The winner of Fury AJ could then look at a trilogy with Usyk.
Yeah, I think if the analogy of or the comparison you make with Kalbrook and Amir Khan, I think they were further past their
Oh,
best
mm,
than we've got with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Um, maybe maybe they just need this tune-up. Um, you know, I think that's my understanding behind the scenes is that they both want to tune up fight, that they're not ready to go straight into it now. That they need a lead-in fight before they sign. I don't disagree with you. It's viable for them to fight straight away. They're both coming off the back of losses, and should they win it, that it propels them into a bigger fight. Um, if Anthony Joshua were to beat Tyson Fury, and most people assume that Tyson Fury just wins that fight, if Anthony Joshua wins, he's flying again. And he's got big fights ahead of him. And if Daniel Dubois manages to beat Oleksandr Usyk and they don't go for a trilogy fight, if Joshua were to beat Tyson Fury, in my view, he's in the frame to fight for the world title. Um, so there's a lot riding though on Usyk and Dubois in a couple of weeks' time. Well, it's under 2 weeks now, isn't it? At Wembley Stadium, 83,000 seats sold now. You were there at the lunch of Frank Warren where he was telling us they'll fill it to 90,000 by the time the night comes, I'm sure. Um, but that's the way I see it with Fury and Joshua. We can talk and talk and talk about it, but they do need to get it signed, and it would be great to hear that. Unless catastrophic things happen in the interim, um, they fight each other regardless. But like you say, there's a horrible habit of things going wrong in warm-up fights, even if it's 57 cuts. 57 stitches in a cut on someone's eyebrow that delays someone for months and months. It could be that even rather than the loss. So I get people's thinking that just get the fight signed and do it now.
absolutely. Another thing that stuck out for me that Fury said is that he's watched the rematch with Alexander Usyk 250 times and gave it to him by 5 rounds, I believe he said.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What do
Yeah.
you make of his analysis of his fight?
Well, that's a guy that clearly believes in himself and wants a rematch with a guy who he sees as his nemesis. And Usyk is Fury's nemesis. He's been his nemesis twice. Um, we all spoke about the need for Fury to jump on Usyk in the second fight, but Usyk is too deft and too fleet of foot to be able to do that against. And Fury struggled to not struggled, but didn't make as big an impression physically on Usyk in the second fight as he actually managed to do in the first fight, when obviously he was in trouble in the ninth round and staggering like a collapsing skyscraper in that ninth round.
Absolutely. Just moving away from Tyson Fury and kind of looking more into what is coming up this week. We see the trilogy. It's kind of funny that we're a big theme of trilogies in this week's talking points. Taylor Serrano, they dance again 2-0 to Katie Taylor right now, but very much deserving of a third fight regardless. Um, how do you see this third fight playing out this weekend?
Um, I had the first fight for Katie Taylor narrowly. I had the second fight. I was at both of them. I had the second fight 6 rounds to 4 to Amanda Serrano. Both absolutely brilliant fights, 40 minutes of extraordinary action so far between them. And as they go towards the hour mark, if they go uh, 10 rounds this time, I just I just think Serrano's going to do it this time. I think she'll get the nod with the judges, and it'll make it 2-1 overall. It's a brilliant advert for women's boxing. The style of the two women unifies brilliantly. It's one of the greatest style matchups we'll ever see in women's boxing, and maybe even in men's boxing. It was one of the fights of the year last year. Um, I think they're both extraordinary. I'm amazed that they are in their late 30s and still going. Um, I think the 2-minute rounds makes it really difficult to score. I just think Serrano is going to have the edge this time. Even though earlier today I spoke to Shauna Brown, formerly Shauna O'Keefe, who's been in Katie's camp sparring with her, and she said she is in phenomenal nick right now, which doesn't surprise me because she lives the life and always has done.
Katie's made it no secret, as well as promoter Eddie Hearn, they made it no secret that Katie is coming to the back end of her career. Do you feel if it is defeat for Katie Taylor this week, and then this could be the last installment of the Katie Taylor story, or if she is to be defeated, then they'll dance for a fourth time?
I've been asked this question all the time about Katie Taylor, and this has gone on for years. Should she be retiring? What's she, 38, I think now, or coming up 38? She's got no desire to give up the ghost, to saddle up and leave the grand saloon of women's boxing. She wants to carry on. She's still got fights to have at the bar. She still wants to be in these wars. Um, I think if she had a catastrophic knockout against her, she might think about it. But as I say, she lives the life. It's defined her from girl to woman, and I just think she loves it, you know. I remember asking her. It seemed to be the perfect time to walk away at Cowboys Stadium, being watched by over 65 million people on Netflix. Seemed to be the perfect time to walk away having cemented her legacy. But as she told me on the night, I've got no desire to stop.
Mm.
I've got the fire in my belly still. I want to keep going. And I don't see anything different about her. In fact, if anything, I see her relishing it even more and more, Josh.
Very interesting to sticking with the New York theme as well. Ring Magazine returned for the third card of their promotional history with Hamza Shiraz and Edgar Berlanga topping the bill. Shakur Stevenson versus William Cepeda as well, co-headlining the
Yes.
event. A lot of interest in this super middleweight main event. Hamza's super middleweight debut, first fight back after the very controversial, fortunate draw against Carlos Adames, and also now linking up with Andy Lee. What do you expect to see from Hamza Shiraz this weekend? Do you expect him to make that statement and announce to all super middleweights that he has arrived?
I'm just pulling up the records of the guys here. Shaka Stevenson and William Zepeda. I think for Hamza Shiraz, this is a telling moment. He's in against a guy who's only lost to Saul Canelo Alvarez. They're clearly trying to build the Alvarez fight up with Shiraz next year if they can, as a potential 10th victim or 10th British fighter for Canelo to go in against. Frank Warren's building Shiraz. He's a Riyadh season ambassador. Turki Al Sheikh wants Shiraz to face Canelo. That could be in Riyadh or it could be in London. It could be at Wembley. It's a big test for him against Berlanga, who is very tenacious, very aggressive, heavy-handed, but not difficult to hit. So Shiraz is going to be on his mettle, get the respect early, get ahead on rounds, and maybe potentially stop Berlanga late. But I've got him winning on points. He's got very direct punches. I think the extra £8 stepping up from middleweight, super middleweight will suit him. And in some ways, even though it's going to be a hard fight at the Louis Armstrong Stadium, this is a chance for him to make his career sing.
Absolutely. Jake Paul has been ranked top 15 with the WBA, but now subject to be reviewed at the next convention.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on this whole saga going on here from the fight with Julio Cesar Chavez to now, where as it stands, he's sat 14th in the world with the WBA?
Yeah, they made the right decision by removing him from the top 15 rankings. He clearly doesn't merit it. He looked like a Southern area champion in that fight against Julio Cesar Chavez. Very limited. Chavez did nothing for 8 rounds and won the last 2 rounds by simply coming out and actually doing something and going for it, and clearly won the 2 rounds. Jake Paul, who's done so many great things for women's boxing, I hasten to add, and has put together an extraordinary card that you mentioned earlier with Taylor and Serrano and Baumgardner and Chantel Cameron and Savannah Marshall and Shadazia Green, um, Ali Scottney, Ramla Ali, all these fighters. Have I forgotten someone? Yeah, no, I don't think I have. It's a brilliant fulcrum for women's boxing. Jake Paul is still not good enough to be ranked in the top 15 in the world or the top 60 in the world in men's cruiserweight boxing. He doesn't belong there yet. And I think they did the right thing to remove him from the top 14 rankings. And well done all those that literally petitioned online and complained about it, about the unfairness of it. And I think Gilberto de Mendoza has done the right thing at the WBA.
Who do you expect to see Jake Paul face next?
Um, phew. I know he wants to fight with Tommy Fury, so that's possible. He's definitely after the rematch. Um, Trying to think. I don't know. Is it out there who he's pretty much going to fight? Or I think Tommy Fury. I heard him call out. I think he should fight Tommy Fury again. It's a big fight for Tommy Fury. Could earn a lot of money from it, and I can't see him saying no to it.
Just one more from me. I spoke to Eddie Hearn last week in Manchester ahead of Catterall versus Eubank on the press conference day. And when I asked him about everything going on with Tyson Fury, he said that he doesn't feel like anybody would be interested in Fury versus Usyk 3. Do you agree with that? Can you understand why he'd be coming out and saying that?
Yeah, right now, yes. But if that roadmap, as I explained, plays out, where Fury has a tune up and Joshua has a tune up, and Fury fights Kubrat Pulev, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying Kubrat Pulev. Joshua fights Deontay Wilder and beats him, even though there's risks involved with that one. And then they both fight each other. And Fury beats Joshua. Don't write Joshua off though. And in the interim, Usyk's beaten Dubois at Wembley in 10 days' time, 11 days' time, and then defended against Joseph Parker as well, or an Ajit Kabayel or whoever next. Um, then if Fury's got 2 wins and Usyk's got 2 wins, I could see it. As I say, I think it terminates the era in a very rounded way. And if Turkey Al Sheikh's prepared to put up the money for that, and if, as we saw when many of us were in Istanbul with Tyson Fury and Spencer Brown last week, and James Ward with Gold Star Promotions with Tyson Fury when they were with Umar Kremlev and the IBA. If Turkey Al Sheikh wants to sign him on a 3-fight deal that's worth 180 million US dollars plus, then I could see it happening. I could see it happening. I could see Usyk being open to it, and it might be Usyk and Fury's last fight. There is potentially that in the roadmap. People would still watch that fight. It's still a big event. Those 2 fights they had were tremendous. Whether Fury beats him, I'm not sure about that, but I'd still watch it and I'd still broadcast on it. I'd still work on it and I'd still be interested in it. I'd still help to talk about it and interview with them. I think it's fascinating.
Absolutely. Just one last one from me. We did see
Well,
Harlem.
another last one.
Sorry, I'm just having more
See,
thoughts.
this is the problem with your driving. When the instructor, when you say to the instructor, "Is this the last turning?" and he says yes, and then you say, "Can I have one more turning?" You don't overdo it in the test. Just do what you're meant to do. Don't overdo it. I'm just keeping the theme going.
You've,
You've
you've
got a
done,
big grin on your
you've
face.
done well
You've
to
got
keep the theme going, Gareth. You've done very well to keep the theme going. Just want to finish with this one. Harlem Eubank did step up against Jack Catterall this past weekend. resulting in defeat, but not in bizarre fashion, but a defeat that doesn't really feel like a defeat. What were your thoughts on the matchup between Harlem and Jack Catterall?
Well, weirdly, I'd left just down the road. I was working on the BKB bare knuckle boxing 43 event at the Hideout in Bolton, and because the event, so the 11 fights happened so quickly. Harry Gigliotti defending his super lightweight title, and Scott McHugh getting a brilliant knockout over Liam Howell to signal his rise again in the super welterweight division. I got back in time to the hotel, the Bolton Stadium Hotel, to watch Catterall and Eubank, which ran quite late, didn't it? Horrible clash of styles. Jack's very hard to fight if you can't draw him out of his big shell, southpaw shell, and his style. Harlem wasn't able to and get on the inside. I think Jack pretty much closed out all the rounds until the head clash, southpaw and orthodox, which does happen. Horrible, horrible cut on both men, frankly, but it was the whole length of the eyebrow on Jack Catterall, which looked horrific. The scar tissue on that is going to be terrible. I I felt that Catterall fully deserved his decision. He's one of the unluckiest boxers around, and in Harlem, Eubank got his chance to fight at world level, and it went awry for him. He'll come again.
There was an obvious lack of, I guess, not in attendance from Chris Eubank Sr., which many people thought would have happened. Do you believe the event would have felt bigger if we saw involvement from Senior and maybe Junior throughout the entire build-up?
Oh, it's always bigger when he's involved. Obviously, we got Ben Jr. watching the hand wraps, didn't we, of Harlem Eubank, which was a little bit of a sideshow and a bit of fun. Um, but yeah, I was surprised Eubank Senior wasn't there, given that he's been overseeing and managing the career of his late brother's son. So yeah, I was surprised not to see him there. There will have been a good reason because he is fully behind that kid. Well, he's not a kid anymore. He's 30, isn't he?
Hmm.
Over 30 now. So yeah, I was surprised. I think it would have brought more light to the contest, more light to the actual event.
Harlem did say that he was actually glad that Senior wasn't there, so he didn't have to see the way that he was treated. Um, Speaking to him post-fight, he clearly feels that there was a lot of dirty work and feels that he maybe should have been given the decision.
I don't think he deserved to get the decision. Um, but I did see your interview and I did understand the point he was making. But he went into enemy territory, he went into someone else's promotion, he went into the Matchroom stable, and obviously Catterall was going to get all the advantages, and that's what he got.
Well, Gareth, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, despite all the digs at my driving, and I look forward to catching up with you again next week. Cheers.
You'll be a winner in that car one day, don't worry about it. Always great to speak to you, my friend.